What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode, I think this is like number 10? 9 or 10? Something like that. As you guys see in our last video, unfortunately we did not get pregnant last time, but we wanted to share a little bit of our thoughts on parenting and stuff with you guys in this episode. So let's hop on it.
We're here with Lucky, and we are actually in what we want to be our baby's nursery, and we've done a lot of work to clear this space out, and we created an altar for our baby. So an altar is just an external representation of what you're internally envisioning, and so this is what, these are all the things that we've sort of collected to symbolize the baby. This is actually Aydian's lion from when he was a kid.
I wish I could say it was from when I was a kid, but my mom actually got this for me when I was like a teenager.
Okay, so 15 years, my bad. We'll most likely have a Lion King nursery if it's available. Yeah, so we just figured this was a good spot to talk to you guys today, since we're really working on welcoming the spirit of the baby, even though it's not physically manifested itself yet. We actually read this really awesome book about parenting that we really vibed with and really sort of felt validated in terms of what we want to do with our parenting style and the energy we want to bring to this whole process. I have an affirmation that we've been focusing on and that we want to kind of repeat throughout this process and throughout our baby's life, our child's life, in order to really remind ourselves the energy we want to bring to this parenting process and this pregnancy process and just this whole process in general. And so I figured I would read that to you all and then kind of explain why this is important to us. It's from a book called The Conscious Parent, and this is the affirmation that we pulled out of that book that we're really kind of vibing with and wanting to embrace.
I ask to be released from the notion that I have any power or jurisdiction over my child's spirit. I release my child from the need to obtain my approval, as well as from the fear of my disapproval. I will give my approval freely, as my child has earned this right. I ask for the wisdom to appreciate the sparkle of my child's ordinariness. I ask for the ability not to place my child's being on grades or milestones reached. I ask for the grace to sit with my child each day and simply revel in my child's presence. I ask for a reminder of my own ordinariness and the ability to bask in its own beauty. I am not here to judge or improve my child's natural state. I am not here to determine what course my child's life should take. I am here as my child's spiritual partner. My child's spirit is infinitely wise and will manifest itself in exactly the way that it's meant to. My child's spirit will reflect the manner in which I am invited to respond to my own essence.
So we really love that affirmation. There's so much to it, but it really comes down to relinquishing any control over this child that is coming to us. And that starts now. That starts in this process when we are welcoming them. It starts with us relinquishing control and not rushing them to come if they're not ready to come. I don't know that it was the easiest thing for us to do or to come to, because we were really we want it now, and a lot of parents are, when you're ready, we are ready, and you're just I want to be pregnant now and we want to start this family now. But there are specific spirits that want to be each person's or each family's child, and it's for very specific reasons. This last part, my child's spirit will reflect the manner in which I am invited to respond to my own essence. That's about recognizing that the child is going to be a mirror of us. So just the way that they didn't show up yet was a mirror to the fact that we were kind of rushing the process. We're kind of rushing them to come and not allowing them to come in their own time when they feel ready. And so I feel like that's definitely gonna carry on into parenthood when the child is in my womb and then when we give birth, and when we actually have the physical baby in our hands, and then when they become a child, like they're always going to be mirroring a part of us that wants to grow. And that's what we want to embrace. Like, we want to know whatever the child brings up in us emotionally is meant to be, and it's a healer. It's like the child is a healer for us, and that's what's really beautiful and exciting about this process. And now that I can like exhale and be like, okay, I trust the timing, like if it's this time, if it's next time, if it's, just I'm trusting that, and I trust that the baby knows what it's doing and knows what's best for us.
No, I agree. I like the first line, as I ask to be released from the notion that I have any power or jurisdiction over my child's spirit. I love that. I think people bring that into their regular life too, just that they have jurisdiction over their child, and I really think that there is a big difference between not allowing your kid to play with fire, right? And like not allowing your kid to explore like a trail or a forest because you're nervous, or like, you know what I mean? Like maybe that's not the best example, but I'm just saying like there's a difference between protecting a child from the things that they're unaware of, like fire, or that if you jump off the cliff you'll die, okay? But at the same time, like there's no reason for us to like really hone in and have jurisdiction over what our child can or cannot do as far as exploring themselves and what they like or what they don't like. And I think it's also true in the fact when you were saying like, our children mirror us. I think there's a big difference too between mirroring, right? I think a lot of times when I see parents, they mirror, like their children mirror them, but their parents take on that mirror and take on that reflection, like this child is me. You know what I mean? Like this child is me, and they are a mirror of me because they're me. DNA, yes, has parts of you in it, but they are not you, just like you are not your parent, right? Because anybody who is maybe 25 or older watching this right now, like you are a different human than your mother and father, biological, whatever, and so I just feel like there is that line. We know that our kid is going to mirror us, because if we talk bad to each other and use negative words towards each other, then they're going to feel like, okay, it's okay for me to talk to my mom like that, or my dad like that, or other people like that, because, well, my parents talk like that. And it's not going to be a conscious thought in their head. They're just going to monkey see, monkey do, right? Because
setting that example.
Exactly. And that's where the mirror comes in, as opposed to literally being like you want your child to literally be who you were, right? Like I see a lot of like, military families are very proud of their military status, and they want their children to also go into the military because they feel like their child is going to reflect them. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's just, it's like when our child does something bad, we're like, well, I didn't teach them that. But then when they do something good, we're like, well, we taught them that. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have to take on both. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think that too many parents see their children as extensions of themselves instead of their own completely separate entity.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we run into trouble, because parents start living through their children. They're like, well, everything I didn't get to do, I'm going to make sure my kid does. And it's like, that's awesome, but at the same time, that's a lot of pressure for that kid to live the life you didn't live.
Or they live the opposite life.
Right.
Like, you think that you can just go out and get a job and be happy and blah, 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 blah. Well, I had to work for it, and I worked 3 jobs, and I stayed up late nights, and I did this, and you think you're just going to get handed it? And it's like, I want our kid to not have to do what I did throughout, like, once I hit, like, 20, for the last, like, 6 years, just working my ass off, just, like, non-stop, just, like, and I'm still doing it. Like, I want our kid to not have to worry about money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to let my kid have to worry about the electric turning off, or not having food, or, like, if they ask for a toy, we're going to not be like, well, we don't have money. We're going to have to have discussions on how we're going to approach that. You know what I mean? Like, we're not just going to be like, no, like, we're not made of money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Like, I don't want my kid to know any of those slogans.
Yeah, we don't want to imprint them with lack.
Yeah.
Or imprint them with anything that we are wounded about. Like, it's our responsibility to take care of our own wounds, and not to imprint our children with the same wounds that we're carrying.
But too many people hear what we're saying, and they think the extreme, right? They think like, oh, okay, so like your kid's never going to know about money, and they're never going to know what it's like to struggle, or they're never going to be aware that, we're having complications within the family with money, or I keep using money as a reference, So like, I feel like there is a middle ground there. there is a middle ground of like, you know, I hear some people who are like, my parents never told me about money, or my parents never told me they were struggling, then they got a divorce, and I was just like, what? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not like they're not going to be informed. We're just going to do, like, we're going to do that. We're going to try to inform them and not just put lack and be like, we don't have money for that, right? Or put like an illusion that you may never struggle in your life, or you may need, you know what I mean? Like, we don't want to create this illusion that like life is perfect and everything you need is going to be right there for you, because that's not true either, right? There's a middle ground of like, we have really great days and we have really shitty days, and you'll have a lot of money in some days and you'll have no money in other days, and like the point is keeping that like balance, right? That like the balance.
Well, just the truth, really, right? So like, giving them the truth and being authentic
what we
with them.
feel
Like,
is true.
if I'm upset and I'm sad and I want to cry, I'm not going to hide my face and cry in the other room. I'm going to cry in front of my child so that they witness me crying and they see that it's okay to cry, and that mommy cries too. And you know, so it's very important to us to be truthful, authentic, and real, while also allowing them to grow and blossom at their own rate.
And so that's why we really like this, because it's an affirmation that it reminds us when we forget what we want to do with our child. You know what I mean? When we start having too much of an envision of what they're going to be like when they're a teenager.
Yeah, an agenda, or like, oh, we're definitely getting pregnant this month because we're ready, when maybe the baby isn't ready yet, or maybe we're not ready in a way we don't realize.
And just, again, the concept of like, you know, like, how cool would it be if we had like some like gender non-conforming baby who is like super fluid and pansexual and like, you know what I mean? But like, we don't want to put that on our kids. But I can sit here and daydream about what the kid's going to be like, but I don't want to make that daydream into what I feel like our kid needs to be like.
No, if they don't show up in that way at all, it's not going to be like a disappointment. It's going to be like, oh, well, that's interesting. You're really awesome too. It's not what I envisioned, but I love this.
Yeah,
it's great.
So this is a friendly reminder.
I just wanted to say that it's not like we're attached to having a transgender or gender non-conforming child, but just how beautiful this is if a child was transgender or gender fluid or gay or anything, like anything out of the realm of, you know, just straight identity and cisgender identity. This is really supportive of allowing a child to identify however they want to identify. So it's not like you're setting them up to be anything specific, you're just allowing them to choose, and you're kind of supporting whatever that is.
So yeah, we're just trying to do our best to learn and educate ourselves before the baby's even here, and try to practice these things before the baby's even here, so that they're more...
Yeah, I mean, it starts now. It doesn't start when you get pregnant. It starts when in this process of considering and welcoming the child. Thanks for joining us.
We'll put the book that we got this from down below. We'll put the link down below.
Yes, and I love that we're in this room and that I'm sitting on this lion, and I just feel closer and closer to having this baby.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right, guys, catch you in the next one. Peace.